Now, look, we can probably finally put one big distortion from Trump world to rest, finally, at this point.
Oh, it was an insurrection. So how many of the participants in that insurrection have been charged with insurrecting, with sedition, with treason? 0 by the Biden Justice Department.
Thus, no one has been charged with sedition or insurrection. Most have been hit with charges like parading. Parading. Who knew that was a crime?
Has anybody been charged with sedition? Nobody. Has anybody been charged with treason? Nobody. So why do they keep calling it an insurrection?
How many times do words like insurrection, sedition, or treason appear in Biden's own DOJ indictments against the January 6 rioters? The answer, 0.
And how much they know about what they're talking about. The same thing, nothing. Let me tell you about this issue here. Of course, I've already explained earlier in the show as to why treason would not be charged. It would not be applicable unless we were actually at war and they were aiding and abetting or getting some comfort to it. But now the idea of sedition, well, that actually is there now. And there are 11 people, 11 charges right now, 11 people who have been charged, and members of the Oath Keepers and associates, and they have now been charged. So I hope that ends that line of inquiry. Someone tells me it might not, but the DOJ says that its indictment, they organized into 2 different groups at the Capitol. And they referred to one as Stack 1 and the other as Stack 2, as you see there. Now, Stack 1, they joined a mob of people, some of whom attacked officers, law enforcement officers, using things like pepper spray and flagpoles and numerous improvised weapons and projectiles. And the other members of what's called Stack 2 were standing nearby, according to the indictment, aggressively berating and taunting law enforcement officers who were just guarding the perimeter of the Capitol building, and threatened officers that were already outnumbered. And even scarier, if it can be called that, the indictment says that the group had set up what they call, quote, quick reaction force teams off-site who were prepared to rapidly transport firearms and other weapons into Washington, D.C. Still think they're tourists? Joining me now is one of the officers that was attacked that very day, former